that I thought were interesting. This is the blog of Cory Doctorow, who is a very interesting guy, a very big privacy advocate. And he has a pretty interesting story here about a lot of people are getting very worried about Boeing airplanes. And according to him, Boeing engineers are refusing to ride on Boeing airplanes because they know how badly they're made, they know how badly the process is, and so how dangerous they are. So it's a interesting issue here, one thing to know about. And let's see if I can defeat the firewalls and get to this one. All right, so this was pretty interesting. This guy in Denmark, I think he stole some music. He put up some videos claiming they were his, and then he would get paid every time somebody viewed them. And then he made a bunch of bots view the videos thousands and thousands of times, music. So he got $200,000 in royalties from people watching the music. And this is something I've heard of for at least 10 years. Anybody that buys online advertising, when you pay for it, and they say you had 100,000 clicks this month, if you look at the clicks, a lot of them are obviously bots, clicking it multiple times per second from the same IP address or something like that. And the advertisers just pay it because there's no choice, but they're just getting ripped off. And apparently it's still that way. I've heard about this for a really long time. I met a guy at DEF CON that had a botnet doing this. It's a common way to make money on the internet. And the guy at DEF CON actually claimed that he made cookies that would infect other websites so he would steal their revenue. When ads appeared on their website, it would redirect the payment back to his account, which is another thing you could do, I guess, if you could inject JavaScript or something on a site. And anyway, this is apparently one of the dirty little secrets. And it's interesting because the whole reason the internet has wiped out daily newspapers and broadcast TV is because 20 years ago, when there was no internet, if you wanted to sell something, you would buy an ad in the newspaper or on TV, and it would show it to millions of people, and only a tiny fraction of those people would want to buy your product. And you just accepted that, and you never really knew how many people bought your product because of our ad on the TV. So you were just guessing. But when Google came out and professionalized internet advertising, they said you can now tell your ad appeared and how many people clicked that ad on our site. So we know how many people actually paid attention to the ad, and we even know how many people actually ultimately bought the product. So it's all scientific now. You're not just guessing. You're scientifically aware of how efficient your ads are, and yet apparently that is not really so true. Let's see. I wonder if this is going somewhere. I see some weird problem here. Follow and get notified. What is this garbage? Refresh. Okay, good. All right, just my monitor to see what was going on Twitch there made me think it's not going, but I think it is. Let me check for comments here. There are none. Okay, I think it's working as well as it ever worked. Anyway, it's an interesting issue. Apparently still a big problem, all the fake ads there. Fake clicks on the ads. So there's an incredible amount of anti-China news coming out. And in fact, I was really surprised with this one. There was a podcast today, Kara Swisher's podcast, and she had Alex Stamos on. And Alex Stamos is from Stanford. I've seen him there. He's a very important guy on the internet. He was the security officer at Facebook and had many other jobs. And he said that he thinks there is a very high chance that we are going to have a shooting war with China within 10 years. And he's worried that his children will get drafted and have to fight in it. What he claims is China is hacking our electric plants and our water plants, and they are preparing for kinetic warfare. And they expect us to have a shooting war over Taiwan. So that's sounding really serious. I have been inclined to ignore all this because it always seemed to me like all their complaints about China are pretty stupid and unimportant, but that's sounding pretty bad. And even if it's not true, the fact that influential people in our government believe that is very bad. And I know, from what I've read, there is an influential hardline group in China that very, very much wants war with America. But I thought they weren't very powerful, but maybe Xi is influenced by them. I mean, just like every nation has their hardliners. But this seems to be now a bipartisan issue. Both the Democrats and the Republicans seem convinced that China is our greatest enemy and that we're really going to have a war with China, which, I really don't want to see that. But it looks like forces are moving in that direction. So there's just lots of complaints. So the UK has now said that China attacked their voting systems and stole voter data, although they claim they didn't directly influence the election. But they covered this up for several years. It happened 2 or 3 years ago, and they covered it up, but they're just about to openly admit it. UK and Britain accused China of cyber espionage, and they've now imposed new sanctions on their Chinese hacking units. And this is the malware on the UF infrastructure is intended for use if the United States goes to aid Taiwan and so on. So the saber rattling and the posturing is getting really concerning on both sides. And here's the one of the sanctions. I think there's 7 hackers in China have been charged with computer intrusion, charging perceived critics of China and U.S. businesses and politicians. And this is something I've heard about for at least 6 years, is that this is what I thought China was doing. They were opposing people that were insulting China. If you would say something against China, then these propaganda people would show up trying to make you stop. And that is somewhat legitimate, I think. I don't think that apparently what they did is they hacked into accounts of journalists to make fake posts from them, which is illegal. And they say they sent 10,000 malicious emails, which apparently used phishing to get in. So they did hack into things, which is bad. But certainly, if they're just defending the image of China, that seems more or less reasonable. That's not the same thing as hacking into water plants or trying to influence our election. If they just feel like China's insulted and they're putting up propaganda on the other side, that seems like a fair thing that every government does. But anyway, it's getting pretty bad. So in Spain, there was an influencer agent who couldn't find influencers enough to meet his clients, so he made an AI influencer. This is her AI Chana, and it's more than just the pictures. They have given her a personality and quotes and made her into a real online presence, and she became very popular. And so they talk about how to do this, how to make a AI-generated fake influencer. So yeah, this is probably going to be increasing. I know there are porn stars that now have fake AI-generated versions of them you can have for your online girlfriend and stuff. So this is one application of AI that's coming where you have a fake romantic partner online.
AI porn.
I think there is AI porn. In fact, there's a couple of lawsuits. There are sites where you can take photographs of people you know and put them on porn actors and make porn about them, and that is considered a serious crime now. Some people did that to like the people in their high school, and they're now accused of something like revenge porn. So I mean, it's out there. Another thing people do is put celebrities' faces on the porn, and and now it's getting to the point where that stuff is very good, to where it could be mistaken for real films. So that's going to be the deepfake thing. So this is a surprising one to me. Spain blocked Telegram. Now, Telegram is an instant messenger like Signal, like WhatsApp, and I wondered why they blocked it, but the reason they blocked it is because people were putting copyrighted videos in there. And Telegram did not answer their complaint, so they blocked it to stop the copyright infringement, which would seem to me to be the very least of the things to be worried about. I mean, I was using Telegram, and I quit using it because it's a Russian service. You're sending your data straight to Russia, and now about a couple of weeks ago, I heard an analysis, and they said the stuff on Telegram is not even encrypted. They tell you it's end-to-end encrypted, but it's not. So that's a good reason not to use it. That's why I'm glad I switched to Signal. I just did it thinking it was just because I wanted to be with an American company, since I work for the American government and somewhat to the American military. I really shouldn't be sending my data to Russia. So that's why I got rid of it. But then it turns out it isn't even properly encrypted. So that's another reason not to use it. So people are trying to figure out how large language models work. It really is kind of a mystery, and there's a lot of people trying to figure this out. And one thing is true, that chain of thought reasoning helps. If you try to get large language models to do the simplest kind of mathematics, like add 2 numbers, it will get it wrong. Because they don't really understand numbers, they just understand sentences and grammar. But if you tell it to do it step by step, it will get it right. And they're trying to figure out why that is. But breaking a complex problem into small steps, it will succeed much better. And they're trying to understand exactly why that's true in the structure of the large language models. This is a big, scientific computer science problem to solve, is exactly how do these things work. Now, let's see if I can. All right, so Russia is going to suspend almost every Microsoft service by the end of the month. I'm sort of surprised they didn't already. I mean, we are effectively at war with Russia, so I would think they would be blocking all American companies. I know Bing moved into China, and Microsoft is in great terms with the government of China, still serving them, but I don't think any American company is willingly serving Russia anymore. So I'm surprised that they didn't suspend these services a year ago. But apparently they are going to suspend everything, business intelligence and OneDrive and Visual Studio and so on. So the only interesting thing to me there is, why didn't this happen before? And so there's a people search network, these ones that claim they can find people. Well, some of them are very shady. This one here is truepeoplesearch.net, and Krebs, his big thing is unmasking who people are online. He found out that the founder is Marilyn Gaskill. This is a completely fake person. It's not a real picture of a person. She does not exist. It's a totally fake persona. And the real people are, this person doesn't exist either. They just make fake personas, and the real people are in China pretending to be these other people, which is pretty common, but it's a thing to know. Another example of these fake online personalities. And therefore, you probably can't trust these guys to refund your money and rip you off or anything. But that's another thing to know. I see some comments online. This is how the Terminator starts. A robot fights back. Oh my, China's AI-powered robot fights back. Ooh. Yeah, that's what you need, robots that will fight back. That's a good thing to know. I'll add that to my news links. Yeah, that's autonomous robots fighting with us. That's definitely how the Terminator starts. I'm going to